Hello, hello, hello again. I am Chile Chill, and uh, the show is called Chile Chill and Friends. And the subdivision of the big Chile Chill and Friends um, shows is the art and life. I'm still working on things. My life is a big giant mess. It's rather chaotic, and I'm just trying to make sense out of it. And the more sense I make out of it, the more chaotic it seems it gets. But to make the chaos into more orderly thing, let's read this disclaimer. Welcome to Chile Chill and Friends, Art and Life. My name is Chile Chill, and I'm the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours, represent the views of Chile Chill, that's me, and the people making them, that's everybody else, my friends. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. So, there we have it. And what I'd like to do today is transcendence and peace and how to deal with stuff. Recently, I haven't been reading from the book Bhagavad Gita because we had a bunch of artists and musicians come over and they were doing their entertainment, which is great. I loved it. But today, it's just me, myself, and I. Right now, at least. And I brought my book, Bhagavad Gita. There's a lot of different translations. This one is translated by Barbara Stoller Miller. And I'm gonna start reading from chapter 6, middle of chapter 6, because that's where I ended. Reading about a month ago, or whenever actually I was reading it. But it was the middle of chapter 6. And so I'm gonna continue. Just as a background, I should say that this is a holy book of mostly Hindus, and in it there's a battlefield going on with two sides. The good guys, or at least the people from whose side we are looking at the scene, is there's this king, the prince, and the war is against his cousin. So he don't want to go to war because he says, "Ay man, this is not good." And then there is his friend. He's like a legendary hero and monster slayer, and he's blue in color, and his name is Krishna. And Krishna says, "Hey man, even though you might not want to go and kill your cousin, and you don't want to kill their families and kill teachers that are your teachers, his teachers, and you don't want your people to die, you don't want, death is not good. Even though that might be so, you have to go and do it anyways, because you have to do your duty, and there's no such thing as soul." And then Krishna, he talks and talks about doing and not doing, doing the not doing, not doing the doing. There's a chapter about knowledge and like how to know that, like, what really is. There's a chapter on renunciation of action. There's a chapter of discipline of action. There's a chapter of discipline, just period. The Man of Discipline is called. This is the 6th chapter, and that's the one I'm reading. I think I stopped reading on the 23rd verse, so I will start reading from the 24th. 24th verse. The sixth teaching called the man of this discipline. Now they were talking about this person who is supposedly a good, wise sage of a person that knows what's really going on, and this is what the person has to do, or this is what anybody that wants to be such a person has to do. Because that person who is already a sage, he don't need to do nothing, he just needs to be himself. He already knows. But people like you and me, we don't know. So we have to. Uh, we read this, what Krishna says, and then we think about it, and maybe we can understand it better. Maybe we can actually actualize it. Or maybe we can just look at it and say, this nonsense. This is for somebody else, not me. I like my I like my hot cars, fast cars, and pretty girls, and I don't know. People like drama. People like lots of good things. There's so much good things to love, but this is not about not liking good things, and this is not about liking good things. So let me just read this. He should entirely relinquish desires aroused by willful intent. He should entirely control his senses with his mind. So, to me, it says that this person of discipline, or a person who wants to become a person of discipline, ought to stop willfully want things. Like you're sitting there, and it's a hot day, and you want something, you want a day to be cool, but it's not. So, um, this desire, uh, you, you should kind of relinquish because, well, there's not much you can do. Well, you can go take a bath in a nice cool water. That could work. But I don't think up here it's about getting away from problems. I think this is actually is going really interesting direction because the next line says he should entirely control his senses with his mind, which means that, well, it's interesting. Like, could it be that if you're hot with your mind, you don't get hot? If you're cold with your mind, you don't get cold. Interesting, interesting. So, next verse. He should gradually become tranquil, firmly controlling his understanding, focusing his mind on the self. He should think nothing. So, with the wisdom eye open, not necessarily wisdom eye, but with your consciousness present in present moment, the instruction says to just relax and let go of these desires of trying to change things, and with this peaceful mind of awareness, take a look at who you are. I don't see anything in you because you lack all desires, so there's no such thing as you. So you become kind of like empty. There's still you, but there's no you. Hmm? Where whenever his faltering mind unsteadily wanders, he should restrain it and bring it under self-control. So whenever your mind doesn't want to abide in peace and tranquility, hold up, Mark. You want to be my guest for a little bit?
I just like to say hi.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mark Borchert in the studio.
Is this one on?
Yeah.
Sweet. We're doing Film Noir on River West Radio, I believe, on August 10th. That's at 11 p.m. We'll pre-record it because I'll be sleeping by then. So I'm walking out with Out of the Past, In a Lonely Place, and The Big Sleep. Or The Big Heat, actually. The Big Sleep's got a couple versions, 45 and 46, a pre-release version. What do you have to say about that, Oleg?
Interesting. Looking forward to...
Well, that's a typical Buddhist answer.
What you want me to say?
I want you to revel in the joy of anticipation.
This is the greatest thing that ever happened. I am so happy for you and everybody else involved in this. This is awesome.
That's excellent. Now, there we go. Sweet. Thank you for ramping that up. I appreciate it.
So August 10th?
That's what we understand. Gabe's in charge of the show, and Zav and I are co-associates.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to be around. Well,
you just have to be present obviously you have to listen in.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to stand out the window.
Get recorded. After it gets recorded, they can always go and listen.
Yeah, of course.
But it's much better to listen to it live, eh?
Yeah, there's a certain vitality to listening to something live, but as a backup, listening to it pre-recorded ain't bad either. Or either. One would choose a pronunciation.
So, you're saying that you'll be asleep at 10 p.m.?
What's that?
You'll be asleep by 10 p.m., you're saying?
Well, that's just an estimate. The point, I'm not gonna be.
Friend? I don't know.
I don't know, like 10:30, 11. Usually fall asleep to Lights Out or Suspense.
That's quite.
Suspense ran from 42 to 62. There's over like 900 episodes. And then there's Inner Sanctum, but right now we got Suspense and Lights Out on CD to listen to.
Is that Alfred Hitchcock or something?
No, but what's amazing, Oleg, is that Alfred Hitchcock, I believe it was in 40, did a trial run of a Suspense episode, and that's kind of like a hidden gem of anecdote. But this series actually had nothing to do with them, and it began in 42. He did The Lodger, actually, and there's kind of like a fun surprise ending toward Hitchcock's experiment.
So the Suspense, is it experimental?
No, absolutely not. It's structured drama. It's a half-hour radio drama begun in 42, ended in 62, with just a host of the stars of the day. Some of the most famous episodes. One's Sorry Wrong Number with Agnes Moorehead. Another is The Hitchhiker with Orson Welles. But I mean, you're dealing with hundreds of episodes and many stars.
Like short stories, somewhat.
Well, half-hour stories for the radio. So
is this your specialty as well?
Is this
your specialty? Do you create this short stories for?
Yes. I mean, it's definitely of interest.
How's your movies coming along?
Well, I shot a bunch. I don't, life is fleeting. I don't sit around in front of a TV screen too much, so the editing kind of goes by the wayside. I'm first and foremost, I enjoy writing. But we'll put those films together, Oleg. Time flies. There's 7 billion of us. There's lots of choices and options, certainly.
I saw the cover for National Geographic. It says, so we've hit 7 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually Stonehenge, I think, is on the most recent National Geographic. So that's a place certainly of mystery.
So here's an interesting thing. I was listening to radio this morning, and the scientists came out with this compound, or more like, I think they came out of a compound of atoms, this solarium or something, or,
Are you talking about like subatomic particles?
Yeah, well, not subatomic. It's like this, just some kind of a thing they got through chemical processes, extracted some compound, I don't know, and apparently this thing, thank you, Ken. This thing, it kills cancer, especially leukemia. Like 98% or 99% of leukemia is dead within 1 hour.
Well, that would be the breakthrough of the century.
It doesn't bother anything else. It doesn't bother any other tissues. It kills about 50% of the other tumors.
Be the greatest thing in the world if that was true.
Yeah, what's true is that according to the radio scientists, that I heard, is that they already had this in the 50s.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. And
yeah,
again, you'd have
to. 50s, and then it kind of went off the radar because of, I don't know, lack of funding and lack of support, and it kind of disappeared. So these guys, they looked it up.
Well, now wait a second. This actually might be a viable segue to the next book that I'm reviewing is Where's the Truth? The fourth and final journal and collection of letters by Wilhelm Reich. And he
Reich is he the Mason guy?
That would be George Washington.
No. Is that the guy who wrote the big Masonic?
No, sir. He studied orgonomy. He did the orgon accumulator, the orgon box.
Orgon.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why.
That's Pike, Arthur Pike, I think, is the Mason.
Okay. Yeah, we're certainly exploring divergent topics simultaneously, but that probably is the fun of this. What's happening right now. Willem Reich. So whatever you're talking about this thing no, let's not forget it because you claimed that it fell into dormancy in the 50s.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
And then Willem Reich probably was aware of that. He was this orgon energy, this cosmic energy is matter that has no mass. Thus it's not doesn't possess atomic properties or anything like that. And so when you talk about this, this discovery that again fell by the wayside in the 50s, this guy must have been aware of it, with this orgon energy and so on and so forth. So
are they still investigating the organ?
Yeah, actually, beat author, William Burroughs and Americana author Norman Mailer, they were into the orgon box. They believed in it, and yes, there's people that still obviously are pursuing this and so on and so forth. But anyway, it becomes immaterial if you're not involved in it because, again, life, the minutes, the hours, the days, the years are fleeting, and you can't put too much emphasis on the ephemeral. That's going to just be fade in the periphery of your existence. What do you think about that, Oleg?
I think that
I must say you are enjoying a hell of a bagel, man.
Yeah, this is a good bagel. I'm hungry. This is my breakfast. But recently I found out that there was this fella, Nikola Tesla. Well, I haven't heard of him until maybe 5 years ago because they didn't teach Tesla in high school or university, at least in my classes. And now I got a new buddy living with me. He's a scientist. He's a physicist.
Bless his heart.
So he told me that this thing about the main thing about Tesla that he discovered is that light waves.
Radio, son.
Yeah, he found a new dimension in order to measure it, because usually it's measured like up and down or something like that. But he also
and also time. That's another dimension. There would be.
All right, there's time. There's up and down, but there's also right and left. And this thing that was right and left, it's been hidden, and it's been suppressed, and it's not being taught in universities.
Wow. Well, I don't know anything about it, but I do know that they claim that there's 11 dimensions, and when you're, as like what the SETI project and so forth that uses very well, again, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's something like very focused, very narrow radio waves and that. So that's what some of this extra dimensional talk would potentially lead to with someone in the know.
Well, if you want to know, I can invite my buddy over.
Well, I've got enough actually to deal with in the first 3 dimensions. So, but seriously,
well, 4 dimensions because there's time.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a heavy one too. So there's enough to deal with already with the 4 dimensions, and the 5th dimension is of course a hell of a group. Got some great hit songs as well. Marilyn McCoo leading that. And yeah, anyway, we should just stay focused on, unless you're a scientist, on these 3 or 4 dimensions that are pretty evident, on a daily basis.
I think you might find interesting is that, how we usually think in 3 times, like past, present, and future.
Sure.
In Buddhism,
yeah,
we have 4 times.
Really?
Present, and future, and time out of time.
Ah, more bang for your buck, and then
more like
a Michigan
time,
party for that film. Wow. Yeah, I don't mind the present thing, because like I said, that's so it packs a wallop, in the here and now, certainly. Now, let me ask you this though, like, how you have a 3-hour show?
2.5 usually.
Okay, 2.5 hours.
If I'm late, it's 2 hours. Every Tuesday I've been here, and when I'm not here, I usually got a friend or 2.
Okay, excellent.
Substituting. So if you want to have yourself a show, well, you can get yourself a show at any time. But if you wanna take an hour or 2 here and there, just talk to me. I'll say, yeah, Mark, come on up. We'll record you as Mark.
Yes, and well, anyway, this has been great in and of itself, and we actually have to, continue to study up for Noor's show. I'm gonna go back home. I've got to do some serious typing here, and I've got to make some notes on the films also that I've seen, so I don't. Already some have faded into the abyss of memory, and that's kind of tragic. I should have took those note-taking more seriously. I mean, but anyway, we'll get up to speed.
Memory is one of those things that needs to be worked on. If you work on it, if you do simple equations and stuff, do little memorizations, it becomes better, and then it just goes by itself. You won't forget things.
Yes, you can memorize things by rote. You can repeat sentence structures, and they carry that for days, if not weeks, in your mind until you jot it down. And if you can remember the plot of the film, if you, after having seen the film, right away you go over and over, and then you can retain that. Yes, there's the science of retention, man. It's just like an athlete working out or something. Obviously, they're going to be conditioned, and the mind can be conditioned as well.
I've never been able to succeed this. I got a few techniques, but maybe I'm just not persistent.
You got to be focused. You got to be focused, dude. And listen, I seriously, I have to split Oleg because this is extraordinarily enjoyable, but there will be a price to pay if I do not move on. And it kind of breaks my heart because I like what you're wearing. I like the way you're eating that bagel with just a most amount of calm and patience I've seen one. And there's no ravenous attack on it or anything like that. They're just a loving amount of time spent with all of these bagels. We're certainly not wolfing down. But all right, dude. That's it. What I love is physical language. So when you stand up, that's all she wrote. God bless.
No, God bless, Mark.
And Oleg, thanks again for your kind allowance of being on this.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Dude, I gotta eat.
Please be a guest more often. I'm up here every Tuesday.
Okay. Well, we'll put
Somebody will do some book readings.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll do some manuscript readings.
Let's do it. Thank you, Oleg. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We'll see ya.
Yeah.
Pardon me for that interruption of Mark Borchett.
Hey, Oleg, does Ken need a ride back? Is he
Probably. We have to talk to him. He was around. He gave me this bagel.
Yeah, I mean, was around. What do you mean?
Well, he gave me this bagel.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I've been up here since.
Oh, Ken's not back there, is he?
No.
Maybe he's by Fuel Cafe.
Uh,
I'll call him.
okay, I'll be in the. Okay.
You know, call him. Mm. Mark Borchardt of the American movie. I met him a few years back through this fella whose name is Jim Morocco. He made a movie called Wisconsin Born and Bred, The Entertainers. It's a nice movie. They play it on Channel 10 sometimes about certain famous people that came out of Wisconsin. And Mark Borchardt became an overnight celebrity when a movie that was based on his life. Actually, it was a documentary of his life.
I need to sleep.
Yeah, go with Mark. Go with Mark. Let him give you a ride.
Give me a call later.
Alright, bye, Ken.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So, Mark got the movie American movie that got Mark famous. It's not really his. It's about him trying to make a movie. He was going to school, I guess, or he was in graduate school of filmmaking, and the film is quite funny, and it shows the human side of things, and it's just full of really lovely characters who are real people in real life. It won the Viewers' Choice Awards at the famous film festival, and which one is it?
Actually, I do have that guy's number.
This memory thing, sometimes it gets holes, especially if you don't get enough sleep.
Oh, okay. Oh, you will.
So, back to Bhagavad Gita.
So do you feel like
Chapter
do you want to give Ingrid a
6,
call?
verse 26. Wherever his faltering mind unsteadily wanders, he should restrain it and bring it under self-control. Easy to say, hard to do. Because it says, when you are thinking about just being like nothing, you're not thinking about anything at all, just being conscious. And if your mind starts to think, bring it back to just like this. But hey, easy to say, hard to do. When his mind is tranquil, perfect joy comes to the man of discipline. His passion is calm. He is without sin, being one with the infinite spirit. So if you actually get to a point after cultivating mind, self-control, being able to control your mind. So when you get there and you relax into the suchness of just being instead of trying to be, all your worries, all your desires, everything comes to peaceful, relaxed state when they don't fluctuate, your mind doesn't fluctuate, it just abides. And when that happens, you feel good, you feel joyous, and that gets all your negativity out, and you become one with God, who is pure good. And it's like all those things, all those passions and aggressions, and just wondering, worrying things about things. It's never really peaceful. But when all that goes away, then we get to know real peace. And in this book, and some people say it's like being one with God, because God is not anything special. It's just what is. God is. That's it. It's like whatever is there is God. Whatever is not there, that's God. Whatever that could be there, it could not be there, it's all God. Everything is God. In Buddha, Dharma, uh, we have a word that says Dharmakaya, truth body. That's basically what everything is made out of, what everything is going to. It is emptiness, it is fullness, it's like that. And the nature of seeing it, because it's not gloomy, it's not dark. Like look at your mind. There's a nature of seeing things in it. Not things themselves, but this quality of seeing. That's called Sambhogakaya. And then there's Nirmanakaya, which is the actual things. So, constantly disciplining himself, free from sin, the man of discipline easily achieves perfect joy in harmony with the infinite spirit. So, as you get to this peaceful point and your mind starts wandering and you bring it back, and it wanders again and bring it back. So, through constant a reminder, you get yourself where you want to be, and this peaceful state of mind becomes your ordinary mind and becomes your eternal mind. There's nothing else but this peace. You got this peace, yeah, that you're peace with the world. Peace with the world. Arming himself with discipline, seeing everything with an equal eye, he sees the self in all creatures, and all creatures in the self. So, when you got this discipline of transient mind, of joyous, peaceful, unwavering mind, you start seeing everything very equanimous. So there is not much difference between a dog and a cat and a human being and a king and a beggar. Everything is as it is, and because it is as it is equal to everything else. Things are just plainly what they are. Nothing is bigger, nothing is smaller. It's all kind of very diverse, but very equal. Because the nature of peace resides in everything. And it is what is inside, which is all equal. Outside, sure, we have red color and blue color and purple color and all kinds of different colors, but they're all equal to each other. It's just color. So, seeing everybody, everything equally, all creatures equally, you equate yourself with all those that you see. You don't see much difference from another person, or a fox, or a crow, or an eagle, or a worm, because the mind goes way deep, and at that deepest part, where everything, we are all connected in this empty of substance space, which is just joyous to be in, because there is no desire. There's just acceptance of life as it is, because that's what we are, living, and we're living in life. He who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me will not be lost to me, and I will not be lost to him. I exist in all creatures, so the disciplined man devoted to me grasps the oneness of life. Wherever he is in me. So here, this is all Krishna talking. Krishna, he says that he is God, and he acts like he, according to this story, he is God. He is a personification of God in human form. So Christians, they see Jesus as a personification of God in human form. And Buddhas, well, they have their Buddha Shakyamuni, but they also have many other Buddhas, because to them it's not about Buddha Shakyamuni, it's about just Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. And here, in this book, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. But here we have Krishna, who supposedly lived about 5,000 years ago, and we have this war, which happened at that time, and we have this advice that he gives to Arjuna, his buddy and king. So here God is Krishna, but Krishna talks about God. Well, he talks about himself as he was God. So when he says, "You see in me all creatures," he would probably mean that in God there's all creatures, but it's kind of hard to think about God, with God being so distant from everything that we can conceptually think about. So it is easier, I think, for majority of people to think about God as one of them. So humanoid being. Thus we have Krishna. So, and Krishna here says that a person that sees everything as God and sees himself as one with God, and sees all beings, all creatures are the same as self, and everything becomes equal, then the person becomes one with God, and yeah, that's the object of life, of discipline. When he sees identity in everything, whether joy or suffering, through analogy with the self, he is deemed a man of pure discipline. So whenever a person sees God in pleasure and pains, and just sees that it is the experience, and that's all it is, um, the person gets to a high stage in discipline, being pure. Pure meaning absolute. So when the person actualizes, in a way, total acceptance with the world, the person becomes one with God and achieves the liberation or perfection of discipline. And up here, discipline means duty, and the duty of a man would be, well, for Arjuna, for example, who was a king, and he got attacked by his cousin because they got a little greedy. His duty was to wage war. That's the duty of a king, to protect his people, go into the battle. But a duty of, let's say, somebody else, it's a different duty. Everybody got their duties. Right now, my duty is to sit here and read Bhagavad Gita and talk about it. And I think I'm doing a pretty decent job doing it. But there's always room for improvement. Perfection of discipline. So, now that's what Krishna said. And in verse 33, this body Arjuna, he says, "You define this discipline by equanimity, Krishna. But in my faltering condition, I see no ground for it. Krishna, the mind is faltering, violent, strong, and stubborn. I find it as difficult to hold as the wind." So here Arjuna says, hey man, you keep talking about this peace of mind. You keep talking about this peace of mind, but my mind is not at peace. My mind is always turning and twisting, and is getting angry, and this mind of mine, I cannot control it. It is like a donkey. It's like doesn't want to move when I want it to go to move. It's like a thunderstorm sometimes. It keeps raining and raining, and I don't know how to stop it. And Lord Krishna, he answers, without doubt, the mind is unsteady and hard to hold, but practice and dispassion can restrain it, Arjuna. So he says, so yeah, man, my friend, you're absolutely right. The mind is a wild, wild horse. It's hard to hold, and it's always moving and moving, and yeah, that's the mind. But if you let go your desires gradually try to get away from desires, like for example, I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. And then I decided to quit smoking because I didn't know why I was smoking. But it was hard for me to quit. So gradually, slowly, I started smoking less. And when I used to smoke at first, before I used to smoke a whole cigarette, I would smoke half of it and save half for later. And then I smoked a little less, and sometimes when I wanted to have a cigarette, let's say after dinner, like I always have had a cigarette after dinner, I would think to myself, well, today I'll skip a cigarette after dinner. And after I skipped 1, 2, 3, 5 dinners, I didn't really need to have a cigarette after dinner. This passion, that's what Krishna talks about. So, with mind and this passion, it has to deal with pretty much everything, you know. You want yourself to be happy? Not gonna happen. As long as you want to be happy, you will never be satisfied. But if you cannot go of desire to succeed something that is not there right now, you relax. You let the innate happiness of having a free mind shine through, and you will come to know happiness like you've never, ever imagined it could be. Because as long as we imagine things, we're not examining life as it is. In imagination, anything can be, whatever it wants to be. But in reality can be only seen by careful examination. And as things don't usually are what they appear to be, I would recommend not just looking at things, but looking into things more than looking at life. Look into, inside. See how deep can you see, and see, notice how much it is that you see. With your mind, you penetrate, you see actual what is, and how much of this is what you think or imagine this is, or hope or fear, because our imagination is very much is grounded in these hopes and fears. So, in my view, discipline eludes the unrestrained self. But if he strives to master himself, a man has the means to reach it. Here Krishna says that unless you control your mind, you cannot control your mind. But if you want to control your mind, if you want to get this discipline, you gotta want to do it. You gotta have to put certain effort into doing it. You gotta desire, and not just desire to do something. Desire, yeah. But you have to put discipline. You have to put effort. You have to try. I mean, of course, before anything happens, there's a conscious decision before anything that we consciously do, there's a conscious decision for us to act, which is sort of desire, like, I want to scratch my head, so I will consciously raise my hand, and I'll have a desire to raise my hand. So I don't think Krishna is talking about this kind of desire in here. I think the desire that Krishna talks about is the desire of desire to let things be what they want them to be and not how they are, because they're never how we want them to be. Life is never, ever perfect unless you are one. Unless you, like Krishna says here, achieve the purity of discipline. Once you achieve purity of discipline, you become one with life and God, and everything becomes totally equanimous, and there's nothing but joy. And as a Buddhist, I'll add love, or because once you get peace, you want to share it with other people, because you see yourself as one of them as a part of you. You want everybody to experience this peace, and that's what's called love. Um, so Krishna says that as long as you try to master yourself, as long as you put some effort into doing this, as long as you meditate, you got a way to actually achieving it. But without doing it, there's nothing you can do. You can just only sigh and shed um, silent tears. Or maybe not always silent, yeah. When a man, okay, this is Arjuna now says, this is Arjuna's answer. When a man has faith but no ascetic will, and his mind deviates from discipline before its perfection is achieved, what way is there for him, Krishna? Doomed by his double failure, is he not like a cloud split apart, unsettled, deluded on the path of the infinite spirit? Krishna, only you can dispel this doubt of mine completely. There is no one but you to dispel this cloud. Ah. Here, Arjuna is being very human that he is. He says, "Well, when I do but I do believe that if I try it, it will happen. But I don't have the strength of character to go and leave the world, leave a job, leave a wife, a husband, leave kids, leave food, leave everything, and go into the desert or jungle and be alone for a long time with nothing." The mind, it it doesn't it lacks the discipline to actually do what needs to be done. Because if you go out into seclusion, then you got nothing but time, and you work on it and you work on it, and then you can achieve it. But in the real world, we're living real lives, so we just don't have time to achieve this purity. So he asked Krishna to give him an advice. Because he says a person wants to do it but cannot, and thus the person gets really divided and not and does not feel too well. So Lord Krishna tells him this: Arjuna, he does not suffer doom in this world or the next. Any man who acts with honor cannot go wrong way, my friend. So he says that as long as a pure person acts like a gentleman or gentlewoman, as long as people act honorably, respectfully, then no matter what they do, they are doing the right thing. And this pain that the person might suffer because the person wants to achieve this purity but cannot do it because of life's holds, that's not the real pain. So there's no need to suffer from it. That's just kind of like, uh, I think that it's our like lower nature to always want something that not be satisfied with what we got. Because if you're a good person, Krishna says, and I agree with Krishna, if you're a good person, that is all you need to do. If you're a good person. But in order to be a good person, you really have to be a good person. Because you can think that you're a good person all you want, but never take a look at who you are and how your actions are affecting other people. And if you think so highly of yourself, if you think of yourself as if, almost as if you were perfect or something, and people are like behind your back pointing fingers at you and talking to say and maybe even in your face say, "Hey man," or "Hey lady," that's kind of like hurtful. Um, and you say, "Well, good. This is what needs to be done." But sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not. What is it really? Like, there is no book that says what life is. Only your consciousness can say. And unless you get to see reality as it is from multiple points of view, all you got is your ego and its delusional thoughts. Because ego is only thinks about itself. It only thinks I, me, I want, me no want, me no like, me want, me like, me want you to do this, me want, me want to be, because ego, it has some really tough times controlling itself. You know, like the mind is having really tough time shutting it up. Ego has tough time controlling itself. Often ego tries to control other people or beings, and that's why we might have like a little doggy that we can say sit. The doggy sit, and you feel so good, and you say, "Ah, look at I made doggy sit." But that's kind of how we lie to ourselves. It's kind of like the little lies that we tell ourselves in order to feel better than who we are, because in reality we're just very ordinary. We're all very, very ordinary. We are so ordinary, we are equanimous in our ordinariness. Because whatever makes someone special is something even, but somebody is even more special than them. And anybody is able to get to that state too. If I know how to read and you don't know how to read, should I feel special? You know? Alright, I say I should just teach you how to read. So you don't feel as you don't feel yourself bad. This man and woman, men and women, gentlemen and gentlewomen, lords and ladies, dogs and cats. So, Krishna, back to Krishna. Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Rama, Hare Krishna, Rama Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Rama Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Rama. So, fallen in discipline, he reaches worlds made by his virtue, wherein he dwells for endless years until he is reborn in a house of upright and noble men. So that's what happens. Krishna says that if you do no good, you gotta get to a state of goodness by being good. And it might take some time, like a few lifetimes, or 100,000 of them. It doesn't really matter. Because one day, if you want it, of course, if you want to, you can get there. One day, you will be born in the right family, in the right time, where you will go and spend some time alone, probably under a tree, but not necessarily. But you'll go and you'll spend some time alone, sitting down patiently, quietly, diligently, working on your mind, and it'll just happen. It'll just happen. Or he is born in a family of disciplined men, the kind of birth in the world that is very hard to win. Same old, same old. There he regains a depth of understanding from his former life and strives farther to perfection. Yeah, well, I think I went a little bit ahead of time and talked about it. Because that's what it is, you know. One day you gotta be born where it's supposed to be, and you gotta go a little farther than where the grace that you've fallen from, and eventually you will reach Buddhahood, without a doubt. Has to happen. Carried by the force of his previous practice, a man who seeks to learn discipline passes beyond sacred lore that expresses the infinite spirit in words. Let's read it again. This is an interesting one. Carried by the force of his previous practice, a man who seeks to learn discipline passes beyond sacred lore that expresses the infinite spirit in words. So, if, let's say, you really, really want to get Buddhahood, if you want to really, really be one with God, one with Jesus, one with Krishna, one with the world, in perfect Tao, perfect harmony of Tao, then your past experiences will lead you towards the destination, and you will bypass all the conceptual junk that's in the books, and these books, they will all become as one, a book that you already read and you already know, and because your practice and knowledge and memories will get you away from that which is worldly, that which is can be ju- can be said in words. So because ultimate nature of us, the reality as it is much more than anything anything that can be conceptual, anything that we can conceive in our ordinary human minds, in our ordinary speech. So one day you'll come to a realm where that words cannot describe. The man of discipline, striving with effort, purified of his sins, perfected through many births, finds a higher way. He is deemed superior to men of penance, men of knowledge, and men of action. Be a man of discipline, Arjuna. Of all the men of discipline, the faithful man devoted to me, with his inner self deep in mine, I deem most disciplined. So here Krishna says that men of discipline, without a doubt, through being good in discipline, they purify all their mental stains and they become more and more perfect. And these people, they are more holy, more divine, which is holy, than all other men. Men who are scientists, men who are great warriors, men who are great monks, great ascetics. They are all great, but the man who abides in life as it is, God deems the most disciplined, the most um, the most is the most complete, most complete. This absolute completion is that's what it is. So good things come to those who don't want them to come. Good things just come, and bad things come. Bad things are your negative karma. Good things is your positive karma. The more you like good things, well, the more you get some kind of a karma. Everything is karma. Okay, I'm just gonna go on to the next chapter. I will talk about karma sometime later. Maybe not. So we got the 7th chapter. Say, my friend, would anybody would like to join me? Talk about, I don't know, anything? Alright. So we got the 7th chapter. It's called Knowledge and Judgment. Knowledge is what we know, not think, not believe, but what we know. And judgment is how we deem things as right or wrong. What we like and what we don't like. That's what I think. Let's see what the book says. Lord Krishna, practice discipline in my protection with your mind focused on me. Arjuna, hear how you can know me completely without doubt. So here he's gonna here Krishna is telling his friend Arjuna, whose mind is not as good as it should be or as it hoped for. Arjuna has a pretty not stable mind, and here Krishna is gonna give him what he gotta do to know Krishna, not as a friend, but as a friend. Yeah, because I guess up here, this Krishna the person, and this Krishna the God. Arjuna knows Krishna the person, but he does not know Krishna the God. So here Krishna says, I will teach you the totality of knowledge and judgment. This known, nothing else in the world need to be known. So Krishna says that whatever he is about to tell Arjuna is all that anyone ever needs to know. This is like the real deal. So I'm curious. I want to know. One man among thousands strives for success, and of the few who are successful, a rare one knows my reality. So there's not a lot of people who want to succeed. There's not very, very, very few people who want to actually tame their minds. And out of those who actually attempt to do it, who work on disciplining themselves, even like very like once, few, very, very few who actually succeed and come to know Krishna's mind, come to be one with God, or attain Buddhahood, or maybe just enter the stream. Because in Buddha Dharma, we have sort of like the Buddhahood, there's no Buddhahood. It's because the world conceptually is dualistic, either like, oh, I am Buddha, or like, oh, I'm not Buddha. In Buddhism, there is no uh, duality, so it's like everybody's Buddha, everybody's not Buddha. Um, but there's 10 or 11 levels of 10 or 11 levels of mind, and they're in the there's 10 stages of bodhisattva. So here Krishna says that he's gonna give the real deal, and not a lot of people can actually do it, or maybe everybody can do it, but few are successful, and very few actually have who actually desire, who attempt to do it. My nature has 8 aspects: earth, water, fire, wind, space, mind, understanding, and individuality. So because this is Krishna, we're hearing that God has 8 aspects, which are the 5 elements, and then there's the 4 elements, and then there's the element of space, and the element of mind, and the element of individuality, which is a uniqueness, and there's understanding. So I guess 4 elements are 4 elements. Space is just the empty space, space between things, and mind is I think it's appear more like a brain that the thing experiences things, but here, because the other aspect is individuality, which is uniqueness, and understanding, which is actually having a reason and understanding of what's going on. When you see a pen, you know it's a pen. When you hear your name, you know it's your name. Understand? This is my lower nature. Know my higher nature too. The life force that sustains the universe. Ah! So here, uh, Krishna says that those things are not as universal, not as higher as his life force, which is prana or chi uh, in different languages. Learn that this is the womb of all creatures. I am the source of all the universe, just as I am its solution. So here Krishna says that in this energy, in chi, that's where that's like that's like a place where things are born. And this higher nature, this chi, is Krishna. So Krishna is the source of all life, because it comes out of this life force. But also, Krishna is a giver and a taker. He gives, he also dissolves. Because right now, universe expands, and sometime in the future, it will start um, collapsing on itself, and it already does through black holes. Uh, Nothing is higher than I am, Arjuna. All that exists is woven on me, like a web of pearls on thread. So here he says that everything is him, yeah, and that's why he is the Most High. I am the taste in water, Arjuna, the light in the moon and sun. Om, resonant in all sacred lore, the sound in space, failure in men. So, God is our senses, taste, sights, smells. The sound of space is all prevalent. Om. If you go to a quiet place and direct your mind on the subtle noises in your right ear, you should be able to hear it. You should be able to hear Om. Om, the sound in space. I am the pure fragrance in earth, the brilliance in fire, the life in all living creatures, the penance in aesthetics. So here he talks about his qualities, that he is everything, he's in every experience. whether it's good or bad. But up here he talks about good ones because it looks better. Know me, Arjuna, as every creature's timeless seed, the understanding of intelligent man, the brilliance of fiery heroes. So here he says that before there was universe, before there was time and space, there was him. And with him were we all. We were all with him. And in us is his seed. And this seed is what makes us, into intelligent beings who are capable of heroism. Of strong men I am strength, without the emotion of desire. In creatures I am the desire that does not impede sacred duty. So, it says, in man of good strong will, he is the strength of will. He is not the desire to be strong. He is the strength. And in all creatures, he is the desire that does not mess with harmony. Because, it's okay to want things, but if you want things that are impossible to get at this moment in time, then all you're doing is causing more drama, more misery. You're getting unhappy because you cannot quench your thirst of desire, and making people around you pretty miserable the same way too, because if you're thirsty and there is no water, you just have to wait till there is water. And not complain and complain and complain and complain. Oi, hey. Know that the nature's qualities come from me. Lucidity. Passion and dark inertia, I am not in them. They are in me. So, the clearness of that which is going on in real life, that comes from God. But your desire and your habitual tendencies to commit negative things, cause harm to yourself and others, they do not come from God, though they are a part of God. They are not of God. They're just a part of God. Yep. All this universe, deluded by the qualities inherited in nature, fails to know that I am beyond them and unchanging. In this universe, there's so much, and we human beings we're just so human that
Oh, I see.
we talk about God
Yeah, I was thinking maybe you could put listen
without
for like
having any real understanding of God, making ourselves look like pretty stupid to God. Because let's say if I knew myself and somebody like my acquaintance, not even my friend, but my acquaintance, decides to go and talk about me, oh, hang around chill for a week. They think that they know chill. They go on talking about, oh, chill is this, oh, chill is that. And I'm like, well, you can say whatever you want to say about me, but ain't it? It ain't it. But here, this is God talking, and God says, I am way beyond anything that people won't think I am. I am just the eternal way, the young drone, composed of nature's qualities. My divine magic is hard to escape, but those who seek refuge in me cross over this magic.
oh, gotcha.
Hmm. Composed of nature's qualities, my divine magic
Yeah,
is hard to escape,
I just use it
but
for
those
like
who
that.
seek refuge in me cross over this magic. While deluded sinners are the men who fail to take refuge in me, their knowledge ruined by magic, and they fall prey to demonic power. So, reality as it is,
Yeah, I'll just
this
put
is
it.
this is what I'm getting from this. Reality as it is kind of magical.
What is it under top?
Hmm? Magic is an interesting word. I think that magic means how how things can change other things without direct interactions with
So
them.
bizarre.
So because of life is what life is,
That makes a lot of sense.
it's really hard to cross the boundary of rational thought into because whatever this magic is thought power that grips our reality into it because we are the makers of our reality. As long as that we think so, it is so, and for us to change our thinking, now that takes a great deal, and our perception of ourselves and the world is kind of like a magical veil. It's illusion. We're living in this veil of illusion that things are how we think they are. So we cannot see the reality of Krishna as long as we're still thinking of us as us. So people who forget, people who don't look into nature, but look towards the desires, they they lose their friendship with God. They lose their holiness. They lose their they lose their joys. And they become quite sad people because this ego can be really easily overtaken by all kinds of dark, negative um, thoughts and thinking patterns, and we call it demons. Because all demons are demons of the mind, and sometimes a thought can enter your mind, and it doesn't really matter where the thought came from. It could be TV, it could be previous life, who knows. A thought enters your mind, and it starts circulating and circulating, and you start listening to it, and you start grasping it, thinking about it more and more and more, until this thought overtakes your rational thinking, and all you do is think about this thought, and then you just go and act on it. And maybe there's a really high chance out there that the the guy who killed a whole bunch of people in Aurora, Colorado, I believe that he was brainwashed. I believe that it's like belief, you know. I don't have strong faith. It's just it really seems more probable that because he was studying to be a PhD in neuroscience, he got involved in some kind of a government or university or some kind of a experiment where people got brainwashed. I mean, if anybody seen a hypnotist, they know that people are. Oh, I don't even know how to describe hypnotism. I've seen a few stage hypnotists in my life, and I could not believe what I was seeing because people did completely absurd things, completely believing in them, and I don't know. It's kind of scary for me to think about who we are and what we're capable of. So, Arjuna, four types of virtuous men are devoted to me: the tormented man, the seeker of wisdom, the suppliant, and the sage. Hmm. I I'm not sure what is meant by tormented man and the suppliant, but I know what a sage is and the seeker of wisdom. But we'll see, maybe he'll talk about it a little later. Of these, the disciplined man of knowledge is set apart by his singular devotion. I am dear to the man of knowledge, and he is dear to me. They are all noble, but I regard the man of knowledge to be my very self. Self disciplined, he holds me to be the highest way. At the end of many births, the man of knowledge finds refuge in me. He is the rare great spirit who sees. Krishna is all that is. Hmm. So, here Krishna says that Yeah, there are many people that say, "Oh yeah, I dedicate my life to God." The man who is in a lot of pain, a man who seeks to know truth of life. Um, I'm not sure what a suppliant is. And the sage, I guess, the sage, well, sage is already actualized person that knows the emptiness. Of these, okay, yeah, I already read this. Hmm. So he says that out of all these guys, uh, the person that is all about knowing reality, suchness, is who he holds more to be favorable. He actually says that it's like God likes people that want to know God through reality, through examining God, basically. It's like, hey man, he says, if you want to know me, you study me, you know? And you want to know me, you study me, not because you just study me because um, you don't want to know me because that is all there is. So you don't focus yourself on anything in particular. You focus yourself on reality as it is. Because that is all that is God. So if you want to know God, you study God in a big, broad way of the meaning. Because Krishna is all that is. Robbed of knowledge by stray desires, men take refuge in other deities, observing varied rites that are limited by their own nature. I grant unwavering faith to any devoted man who wants to worship any form with faith. So here he says that because people, they are also people, and they got different wants and desires. Like somebody, some little lady is looking for a perfect husband, and some young gentleman is looking for a pot of gold. So for them, for their desires, there are all kinds of archetypes out there, which are, if you have if you have desire, if you worship them, if you think about those deities, archetypes, and you do certain rites and you say certain words, and you have a lot of faith in such a thing, that this image is an image of a, let's say, great wealth god, and if I uh, imagine this great wealth god and say the mantras and uh, do what needs to be done, this god is gonna give me favor. And Krishna says that, well, some people, they don't really want to know me, like the great God, the God of God. Like people don't want to know me, God. So they got these different deities, and hey, that's what Krishna says. I am a very cool guy. You want to be, you want to do this stuff to Ganesha or Radha or some deity, you go and do it and be happy. You know, I got none against you doing whatever makes you, whatever it is you want to do. I'm just saying that, hey, best thing I say is for you to know me, God. But you want some money, go get yourself some money. You want some love, go get yourself some love. But the real deal, when you're ready, you come to me. Discipline, by that faith, he seeks the deity's favor. The secured, he gains desires that I myself grant. So he says that, yeah, when you do the stuff with these deity archetypes, sure, you might get the favors. You know, you say you gotta do this, you do this, yeah, sure. But know that it is not the deity that gives you these gifts, but I, God. Because everything comes out of I, God. Krishna. Krishna, God, I don't see difference. Words are just words. But finite is my reward that comes to men of little wit. Men who sacrifice to gods reach the gods. Those devoted to me reach me. So he says that whatever it is that you're asking from all those deities, sure, you may get them, but that will really limit you. God is limitless. So if people strive towards God, if people strive towards material things, better things, then that's what they'll get. They'll get material things, petty things. But if people strive towards God, then that's what they will get too. They will get God. Or, as you read previously, it's not that they get God, they become one with God. And God means everything there is, like life, the universe, and that which was before the universe, that which was before time and space were. Men, without understanding, think that I am. Unmanifest nature become manifest. They are ignorant of my higher existence, my pure, unchanging, absolute being. So he says that people think that God is the form which has manifested out of a potentiality of form. Hmm? So people say that first there was just space, like something that was a lot of potentiality, and then this potentiality came into existence, like uh, this potential energy, right? And the inherent, like there's inherent energy, and then the actualized energy. So he says that people think that God is the actualized energy, but meaning people study God through like studying things that are existent, but people who study that which is existent are ignorant of the other states, which are sometimes, well, actually, up here he talks about the ultimate state, which is absolute and unchanging, where whilst the universe is constantly in fluctuation, it's always moving, it's always changing. That which is unchanging is what's considered to be emptiness. There's nothing there for change to change. But up here, I'm just gonna read on a little bit farther. Veiled in the magic of my discipline, I elude most men. This deluded world is not aware that I am unborn and immutable. So that's basically repeating. He's basically repeating himself that most people cannot see the unchanging nature of the universe because all they see is change, so they think that all there is change. But that which is not born does not die. Thus, the God, there's also this emptiness, which is godlike, godliness, which is which was there before time and space, and will be there after everything is gone. Thus, it is immutable. I know all creatures that have been, that now exist, and that are yet to be. But Arjuna, no one knows me. Oh, that's what God says. He says God knows everything and what was before and what will be, but no one knows God. All creatures are bewildered at birth by the delusion of opposing dualities that arise from desire and hatred. So all creatures, from birth, from the beginning of their lives, they have pleasurable feelings and they have displeasurable feelings. And they know the difference because one gives something that person wants, or a being, creature, and something gives that is not wanted, like pain, for example. But when they cease from evil and act with virtue, they devote themselves to me, firm in their vows, free from the delusion of duality. So when people stop doing harm to themselves and others, they start doing something that's good. And if they really decide to do good and not do evil, not do harm, then people become more and more freed from the bonds that separate us with the world around us. We lose more and more bonds that let us see other people. Because in order to see another person, you have to stop seeing yourself. Not really. You can see yourself too. You can see yourself in another person. You can see another person in yourself. But in order to see other person, you can't just you gotta look at the person. You gotta see the person, not see what you think about the person, Not see what you're taught about the person, but see the person as the person is. Trusting me, men strive for freedom from old age and death. They know the infinite spirit, its inner self, and all its action. Men who know me as its inner being, inner divinity, the inner sacrifice have disciplined their reason. They know me at the time of death. So when people come to know reality, truth, people stop getting older. People reverse the aging process. I think he's talking about doing yoga up here, asanas and all, pranayamas and all that. And they come to know the infinite spirit, which is done through meditation. You come to know the aliveness and limitlessness of just being, of the essence that everything prevails. You see that the world is beautiful and it's alive and it's so vast. Because the more you see that there's more to see. And you get to see this vastness as the essence of everything there is. And then you come to know this, come to know God. So we come to an end of a 7th chapter of our Bhagavad Gita. Next chapter is the infinite spirit, so I guess it's gonna talk about this infinite spirit that was mentioned in the last stanza. Two stanzas. It's 5:50, and I'm here until 6. Got 10 minutes left to talk about what I wanted to say. And my life, all I really want to say is that my life is really plain. Don't like my point of view, but there's just saying. It's not saying. It's Special Pumpkins or somebody. Back in the 90s, I used to watch TV. I listened to MTV. And listen to different VH1 and Hot 102 back in the 90s. 90s were the good times. But then 2000s came and I was really disappointed in music. And movies too. Because in the 80s they had a lot of really great comedies. In the 90s they had some really good dramas. But in 2000s I don't know anything that was great. Well, they got a few good movies. They're good. Of course, there's the trilogy of the Tolkien trilogy, Middle Earth, and all that, which is a really good movie. But still, it lacks the originality of certain movies that came up in the past. I mean, I am not uh, I'm not a general artist as many artists are. I was when I was a beggar, I was a very picky beggar. So I'm a very picky artist. I really like original movies and music. Like really original. And I like this originality not to be just original, but to be good. I like quality and originality. And that's really hard to find because I don't know what's I don't know what's happening. In the 60s and 70s and even in the 80s, but mostly 60s, there was so much different music made. Just take a look at the Beatles, how many tunes that they've created. They have adapted music from different parts of the world and came up with their own individual sound for each album, for each song. And then there's bands like Led Zeppelin who just completely reinvented the whole scene, what rock is supposed to be like, and of course heavy metal and Prince. Prince was quite ingenuitive, but he's not popular. People don't like original music nowadays. It's kind of sad. People like crunk and some redone, remixed, same old dance, and uh, rock is also sounding like everything else. Sounds, it has the same sound. Christian rock sound sometimes. Or there's no more heavy metal. It's very like mild things, mild heavy metal. So, so we need to create some good works around here in this world because ain't nobody gonna do it for us. Only we can change the world. Oh, we can't even change the world. We can change ourselves by introducing the world to something which is a piece of us. We are sharing ourselves with the world, and the world is pretty accepting. But the world is up here in this premises as people. So somebody out of 10 people who don't like your art, one person might like it. And that's good enough, because then you know that you've changed one person. At least on a very slight level. But some things have changed people tremendously. Like what happened in 2001 on 11th of September. It changed the world, literally, physically. But on a spiritual level, a lot of people have changed. Because something that was not conceivable in their consciousness came to be, and it did not make much sense. And something of that sort happened to me yesterday because when 9/11 happened, when things happen, I usually stay rather detached. I say, well, yeah, this is gonna be difficult. This is gonna cause a lot of things to happen. Yeah, yeah. Pretty much, I just look at things realistically. But the other day, somebody posted, "Oh, this Indian guy from Texas that he's my friend on Facebook," and actually, he's not my friend. I just subscribe to his post because he deals with people who film police beating up people. I guess he was a victim of police violence, and then, oh no, no, no. Yeah, he was a witness of police violence, and he filmed it on camera, and then he got um, charged with some crimes for filming a police officer abuse his right. Like, it's bad up here. So he posted this little video of what happened in California, and in it, it's a video from a night news of that small area. So, so apparently there was some young guy who got shot in cold blood by a police officer, and a whole bunch of people, women and men and children, they all got together on some grassy area and were protesting, I guess. When about 10 police guys came up on the scene with a bunch of dogs and rifles loaded with rubber bullets, and just started firing at everything that moves and unleashed the dogs. And the dogs, first thing, they went for the weakest, which is baby carriages and mothers. And I I saw that video 2 days ago, and it put me into a shock. And I didn't really understand why. I was like, why am I getting such a strange reaction to this? Why can't I shake this off? Because nothing like this happened before. 9/11 was fine. This, but then I think this I figured out why I acted like that. That's because 9/11, it changed a lot of people's consciousness because it was like an act of war against America. Act of war against America. But this act I saw as an act of war against American people.